The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, the 30th, right?
29th.
29th. Oh, this Tuesday, the 29th. Episode, oh crap, I can't count that high. Here on NOK Network, the video news podcast focused on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys in Dead Ringler from Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by the Moody Blues, with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joint sub-host, Ron McNabb, along with the one and only Buffalo Various, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Thanks, Ron, for filling in for Tara tonight.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. And yeah, Tara's still feeling under the weather, and I hope she feels better very, very soon, because it's never fun being sick. And I hope she just bounces right back to her normal self quite soon. And yeah, so I'm glad to fill in tonight. And I just also like to introduce Bufo. He is the Sonoran desert toad, or Colorado mud toad. Okay, I lost my spot. And he emits DMT from his skin. And of course, park rangers would like to remind everyone to please don't lick the toad. So hello, Bufo. And yeah, whoa, I'm hitting the wrong buttons here. Wow. There we go.
Yeah, there's other ways to extract that beautiful DMT sweetness.
Right. So don't lick the toad, folks. And I guess now for our top stories in psychedelic news, or oh yeah, no, I'm all over the place here.
No, you're doing great, dude. Our first article comes right out of IowaCapitalDispatch.com, and it is written by Robin Opsahl, and it was written on the 21st after 420. Iowa House passes bill to establish state psilocybin program. Oh wow, you want to tell us about that, Ron?
Yeah, this sounds pretty cool. The Iowa House passed legislation Monday to legalize the use of psilocybin, the psychoactive compound found in magic mushrooms, for psychiatric treatment through a state program. House File 978 passed 84-6, would establish a psilocybin production establishment licensing board within the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services, operating in a similar fashion to the existing Medical Cannabidiol Advisory Board that oversees Iowa's medical cannabis program. The board would grant licenses for the production and administration of products with psilocybin to people with certain mental health needs in the state. This bill also sets new requirements for who can access the substance, including an age 21 restriction and a limit of 5,000 patients who can be recommended for psilocybin treatment. Very cool. Very cool stuff.
It is really kick-ass stuff. Representative John Wills, our Republican, Spirit Lake, the floor manager for the bill, said he would not have guessed that he would involved in a bill on psilocybin before this year because it's just not something that I'm into. But he said after learning more about the effectiveness of psilocybin treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder, he believes the program will help people suffering in Iowa like military veterans, law enforcement officers, and other groups that face high rates of PTSD. He said the bill requires people to receive psilocybin in a clinical environment with psychiatric support. In this environment, he said that the drug is shown to allow people to relive their trauma in a controlled, safe place and be able to resolve or lessen the impacts of PTSD. Will said he believes this method could help address the high suicide rates of veterans and offers suffering from the disorder and offers a better alternative to other forms of PTSD treatment currently available. Oh, wow.
Right. Here's a quote here. I will tell you right now, the only option these veterans have, the only option these people with PTSD have is to be on mind-altering, life-altering drugs for the rest of their life, Wells said. While several states have decriminalized the use of psilocybin, Oregon and Colorado are currently the only states with medical psilocybin programs. Representative Larry McBurney, Democrat from Urbandale, said he supported the bill as a way to help veterans access needed mental health support after returning from their service. McBurney said he was diagnosed with PTSD after serving as an Iowa Air National Guard veteran, having been deployed 3 times. Like many other veterans across the state and across the nation, I didn't know where to turn, McBurney said. I didn't know what options were available to me, and it took me long enough to find what those options were for myself and what worked for me. I want to ensure that other veterans across the state have this option available to them. The original bill specifically called for psilocybin to be used to treat PTSD, but an amendment approved by the House Monday expands the ability of the board to approve other illnesses that could be treated with psilocybin and would allow for more psilocybin compounds to be added as legally available. Very cool stuff.
It's great. It's great. Wills continues to say the amendment was added as a way to ensure the board can make this psychiatric treatment available for other mental illnesses or disorders when research can prove it's effective. Wells said there has been promising early studies showing psilocybin may be an effective treatment for people recovering from substance use disorders related to alcohol and opiates. By taking PTSD out of the equation, what we're doing is we're allowing the board, that medical board, to be able to make decisions, Will said. So additionally, of course, PTSD is the treatment that we know works because there's peer-reviewed studies or peer-reviewed data. But as other ailments, these other things are studied and have proof, then the board can add them. Representative Jeff Shipley, our Republican from Birmingham, has advocated for similar measures related to the legal use of psilocybin in previous sessions. It looks like mushroom season had officially arrived in Iowa, he joked as the bill passed the House. Our love and prayers are with everyone pursuing the elusive moral mushroom. But perhaps more urgently, our love and prayers are with those suffering from intractable psychiatric conditions. He praised the measure as opening up new methods for mental health care in Iowa that has shown tremendous promise in the management of psychiatric conditions like PTSD. The state has a lot of responsibility in ensuring Iowans not only have access to mental health treatments, but they have access to treatments that are actually effective, treatments that will actually alleviate the symptoms the patients are suffering from simply. And so again, House File 978 will go a long way in ensuring the state of Iowa is fully fulfilling their obligation. The measurement moves to the Iowa Senate for further consideration. Huh.
Very cool story. Very good, cool story. Go Iowa. Go Iowa, right?
Well, they don't even have a medical program, if I remember.
No? Wow. Wow.
Like Iowa was one of those states that if you were getting your meds from Colorado, you had to
Mhm.
be careful, and you knew
Okay.
you would see on the highway lots of cops pulling people over.
Right, right, right. Wow. Wow. So, anyways, it looks like things are progressing over there in Iowa. And talk about things progressing. We're going to progress over to our next story here. And this one here is coming to us from SciTech Daily. Psilocybin and MDMA may silence fear at its roots, study finds. And this is by Brigham and Women's Hospital. And this was published on April 27th, 2025 rather. Uh, cool picture. I like that picture. Researchers at Mass General Brigham discovered that interactions between immune cells and brain cells play a key role in triggering fear responses. However, treatment with psychedelics such as MDMA and psilocybin may help reverse these effects. Researchers at Mass General Brigham have discovered that interactions between the immune system and brain cells play a critical role in regulating fear responses. In their new study, they found that immune activity can alter communication between brain cells, influencing stress and fear-related behaviors. Importantly, the team demonstrated that psychedelic compounds such as MDMA and psilocybin can reverse these neuroimmune changes and reduce stress-induced fear responses in preclinical models. Similar effects were observed in human tissue samples. The findings are published in Nature. Our study, there's a quote here, our study underscores how psychedelics can do more than just change perception. They can help dial down inflammation and reset brain immune interactions, said corresponding author Michael Wheeler, PhD, of the Jean Lay Institute of Immunology and Inflammation, as well as the Ann Romney Center for Neurologic Diseases at Brigham and Women's Hospital, or BWH, a founding member of the Mass General Brigham Healthcare Team. This could reshape how we think about treatment for inflammatory disorders and conditions like anxiety and depression.
Immune system's role in neuropsychiatric diseases. Prior research has shown immune signaling can drive the development of neuropsychiatric diseases such as major depressive disorder, which is MDD. However, the ways that specific immune mechanisms can also affect behaviors due to chronic stress or MDD remained unclear. Using a mouse model of chronic stress, the researchers determined that increased crosstalk between cells in the amygdala, I don't know how to say that, or the
Amygdala.
brain's fear center.
Amygdala. Amygdala.
Amygdala. Oh, okay. Amygdala. Fear center. Boosted fear behaviors, elevated inflammatory signaling, and activated fear promoting amygdala neurons. Furthermore, inflammatory cells called monocytes migrated from other parts of the body to the brain, many during chronic stress. The research team demonstrated that artificially manipulating these cells impacted fear behaviors. Treating stressed mice with psilocybin and MDMA prevented monocytes from accumulating in the brain and lowered fear behaviors. Wow.
This is very interesting stuff. And see, this is what I like as these like cannabis and psilocybin and other psychedelics and that are more socially accepted and made legal, and it makes the research legal. You're going to see a lot more studies coming out that that a lot of us kind of already knew, but it's nice to see that the stuff is fresh studies coming out and that. So anyways, I digress. Human studies and future research directions. The investigators found similar signals of response to stress in human brain cells and gene expression data sets from patients with MDD, suggesting that the same interactions between the immune system and the brain may play a role in neuropsychiatric disorders in humans. The authors note that further experiments are needed to understand exactly how psychedelics affect immune cells and brain communication. Next steps include examining the long-term effects of psychedelic treatment on patients with MDD or inflammatory diseases. Wheeler is currently collaborating with investigators from the Massachusetts General Hospital Center for the Neuroscience of Psychedelics on a clinical trial of patients with depression who are being treated with psychedelics and will examine their tissue samples. We're not saying that psychedelics are an all cure-all for inflammatory diseases or other health condition or any other health condition, said Wheeler, but we do see evidence that psychedelics have some tissue-specific benefits and that learning more about them could open up entirely new possibilities for treatment. And it just goes on here to say the references, psychedelic control of neuroimmune interactions governing fear by Elizabeth N. Chung, Jin-Soo Lee, Carolina M. Polonio, Joshua Choi, Camilo Faust Ackel, Michael Killian, Weibke, M. Weeb, Georgia Gunner, Mingyu Yi, Tai Hyun Hu, Sienna S. Drake, and a whole bunch of other names that I'm not going to try to pronounce because I'm just looking ahead and there's no way. So anyways, very cool story. Very cool story.
Yes, they even have a funding acknowledgement if you want to check out the SciTech Daily. And it's a lot of Korea, a lot of National Drug Institute, mental health, National Multiple Sclerosis. So it's cool they're getting the extra funding from other programs.
Yeah, down at the bottom. Yeah, all the way down here. Funding and acknowledgements include the department, and wow, this is like, wow. So there's some big names that are putting money into this. Look at this, the American Cancer Society.
Yeah,
that's cool. And I knew that they've been. I already knew that they've been investigating, like in putting money into psychedelic research and that. So that's cool. That's cool. Very cool to see that this stuff's coming out, and it'd be cool to see long-term studies as well, like 5, 10, 20 years, 30 years out.
Well, cool. That brings us to our,
anyways.
Yeah, that brings us to our next story, dude, which is out of Cleveland.com. And it talks about how Cleveland Clinic investigates synthetic psychedelic drug for a postpartum depression. And It looks like this is written by Julie Washington from Cleveland.com. You want to start us out, buddy?
I sure will do that. It's common for women to feel blue briefly after giving birth, but a severe mood problem could be postpartum depression, which can lead to suicide in rare cases. Could a synthetic drug similar to magic mushrooms or psilocybin treat this mental health disorder? The Cleveland Clinic is one of 25 U.S. sites participating in a study to investigate this question. The idea isn't to send moms on a psychedelic trip, but to rewire their brains to relieve low moods, said Dr. Brian Barnett, a physician with the Center for Adult Behavioral Health at Cleveland Clinic Lutheran Hospital. He is running the clinic study and is co-director of the hospital's treatment-resistant depression clinic. He's on here to say the clinic's phase 2 clinical trial will see if people who take a synthetic psychedelic drug called RE104 feel less depressed up to 4 weeks after treatment, he said. RE104 affects serotonin receptors in the brain. It differs from natural psilocybin, the hallucinogenic compound found in magic mushrooms, because its consciousness-altering effects are of shorter duration. Well, I might as well just finish off the rest of it if you want. There's just a few little sentences, unless you wanted to finish off, Mel.
Oh, I keep scrolling and it keeps going down.
Okay, I'll do that. Potentially, if it was approved by the FDA, that short-acting characteristic would make it easier to give to patients, Barnett said. The clinic currently is enrolled studying participants who are up to 15 months after giving birth, are not breastfeeding, and have postpartum depression. The study had not found any participants as of late April, but the recruitment period will be extended until the study fills. And anyone interested in joining the study based at Clinic Lutheran Hospital can call 216-425-7426 or email psychresearch@ccf.org. The story does continue on more.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll read that part. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize it carried on more. I thought that was the end of the story. There you go.
Yeah, no treatments for postpartum depression are being sought because cases are on the rise across the United States. A new study with the clicky link published in JAMA found a significant rise in postpartum depression diagnosis rates across all racial and ethnic groups in recent years. The rates of cases doubled from 9.4% in 2010 to 19% in 2021. Typically, women are prescribed the drug Zoloft for postpartum depression, but many don't want to take it a daily medication, Barnett said. In the clinic study of RE4, participants will receive a single dose of this drug administered at the Clinic Lutheran Hospital. They will be monitored for several hours while resting in a cozy room decorated with cushioned chairs, a rug and pillows, and soothing blue and tops set up especially for people taking psychedelics as part of clinical trials. After taking RE104, study participants may feel euphoric or experience altered perceptions, such as brighter colors or hallucinations. Because psychedelic drugs tend to increase blood pressure and heart rate, study participants' vital signs will be monitored. Patients will make about 11 visits to Lutheran over a 6-week period for the study, both before or after taking the drug. A separate study is being conducted out if RE104 passes into breast milk. Until the data is analyzed, the Food and Drug Administration requires that women who sign up for the study aren't breastfeeding, he said. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So medical uses for psilocybin are explored. Although psilocybin and lysergic acid diethylamide, or LSD, are illegal in most places across the United States, attitudes are changing as researchers investigate if these drugs can be used safely to help treat conditions such as depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, addiction, pain, and neurodegenerative disorders, according to the National Institutes of Health. Psilocybin use has sharply increased since 2019, especially among Americans seeking to self-treat mental health conditions, according to a recent study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. A small 2021 survey of more than 7,000 people found that about 7%, or about 500 people, said that they had used psilocybin mushrooms in the past year, according to the National Institutes of Health. And recently, Iowa lawmakers advanced legislation that would legalize the use of psilocybin for psychiatric treatment through a program similar to how the state handles medical cannabis. The legislation must undergo further consideration. The drug has been decriminalized in some cities, including Denver and Detroit. Although there is stigma attached to the use of psychedelics, Barnett believes the drugs can be controlled in a medical setting and studied to learn if they can become treatment options for patients with behavioral health issues that don't respond to conventional treatments. The patients I see are suffering tremendously, he said. They're often willing to try anything to help with these conditions that they've had for years or decades. In 2023, Barnett led the clinic's participation in a national study looking at the possible use of LSD to treat severe anxiety. And while data from that study has not yet been published, the results were promising. 3 months after patients received a single dose of 100 micrograms of LSD, about half no longer had anxiety disorder. There's a quote here saying, "We have never seen anything that effective," Barnett said. Psychedelics are consistently showing now that they can be helpful for patients where other treatments aren't working. Why do we resort to the treatment of have it as a treatment of last resort if we know it works? Why not start with it?
I don't know. The horror stories, dude. The stigma of taking drugs and
I know,
seeing them.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
How psilocybin affects the brain mood. Psilocybin is a part of a group of drugs called psychedelics or hallucinogens that can cause users to hallucinate or experience reality in a different way, according to the National Institute of Health. Research suggests psilocybin is not addictive, NIH said. Both synthetic RE104 and natural psychedelics make the brain more malleable and open to learning new behaviors, Barnett said. Researchers also think that psychedelics affect the brain's default mode network, a part of the brain that is activated when people think about themselves or their problems. Past studies have found the network is overactive in people with depression and other forms of mental health, Barnett said. Psychedelics appear to reset the network by turning it off for a brief period. When it reactivates, it's in a less rigid state, he said. The default mode network is overactive because they're ruminating on their own problem over and can't get out of their thought pattern, Barnett said. And then it goes on to talk about Julie Washington, who wrote the story.
Yeah.
But great stuff,
cool,
man. Huh?
It is. It is great stuff. It is great stuff. I love seeing the advancements in this, and because as that means acceptance. As the results come in, like how can you deny the success numbers? It's not going to cure everyone. It's not going to help everyone, but hey, it helps a lot more than a lot of the pharmaceutical drugs that we have out there. right?
So my confusion, yeah, and you would think that all the medical studies and stuff, that shit would get filled up, but they had to extend theirs because they couldn't get people to sign up.
I know. So I don't know. Is it the stigma? Is it stigma that's still holding people back?
The synthetic, the fact it's a synthetic.
That could be it. That could be it. Because I know. Well, I wouldn't be taking part of this. I'm not a woman. I can't give birth. But I know if I was I'm not going to partake in any study that's got a synthetic. I'll partake in a study that's got natural products, natural psilocybin, but not synthetic. So I think that might be it.
So what's the rule on that? If you can't find anybody, can you just test person study number 1 said, "Holy fuck, I'm really high right now." Yeah, right.
Great. I like that. So, anyways,
that brings us to medication time.
It is. So it's time to pay some bills, folks. And so stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors. Then we will return with more articles that Bufo has chosen, making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on Psychedelic Reporters, here on NOK Network.
Are you frantically pounding away on your keyboard these days? To discuss your views, share your passions, teach a skill, or share a craft to the masses on social media, podcasting is a bright light that can help you reach a diverse audience. And the NOK Network can help. Even if you have no experience, NOK Network will work with you to develop your content to air on our diverse network to reach a wide audience, allowing us to grow together. Podcasts are aired on multiple platforms simultaneously, across social media and streaming sites live through our network. Contact us and let's chat about how we can help you develop your podcast and join the NOK team.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyendinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Hold it in, feel it in your wrist.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Check us out in Tyendinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyendinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at NOKNetwork.com. Send us a message on our social media platforms or email us at info@NOKNetwork.com.
everybody get back to the show.
And we're back from our medication session live on Psychedelic Reporters here on NOK Network.
And we have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it.
Right, let's get at it. Well, hold on. Close this ad. There we go. There we go.
Yeah, you want to start us?
All right, so I'll do that. I will do that. We've got our next story here coming to us from earth.com. And it says one psychedelic dose can improve brain functioning for extended periods of time. And this was written by Jordan Joseph. And he is an earth.com staff writer. And many people wonder if a simple approach can bring lasting improvements to mental health. A new study on psychedelic compounds might spark a deeper conversation about how the brain recovers from stress-related conditions. Researchers used mice to investigate how a single dose of a psychedelic compound can support cognitive flexibility. The lead investigator, Dr. Omar J. Ahmed from the University of Michigan, oversaw an experiment that tested how the animals responded to unexpected changes. And how psychedelic dose rewires the brain? Well, neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to reorganize and form new connections. Psychedelic drugs have shown promise in boosting these adaptive changes in certain parts of the brain. And research has already hinted at benefits for people with depression and anxiety. And this new investigation goes a step further by looking at how how long these benefits last. Very cool.
Experts are exploring how serotonin 2A receptor activation might reshape the way we learn. This receptor is linked to a mood regulation and perception, so it makes sense that tweaking it could allow how the brain adapts. According to the investigators, only one dose was given to each mouse with no additional treatments. Later, they ran tests that looked how quickly the mice switched strategies under new conditions. Some scientists say the prefrontal cortex is key to tasks that demand judgment and quick adaptation. Strengthening its connections may explain why a single dose can produce effects that last far beyond the initial exposure. One psychedelic dose boosts flexible thinking. What makes this discovery particularly significant is the sustained duration of cognitive benefits. Following just one psychedelic dose, explained Professor Omar Ahmed, the researchers saw a clear advantage in how the psychedelic group tackled changing rules. Male and female mice both showed up in mental adaptability. This broad effect indicates that the underlying mechanism could benefit a wide range of individuals. Wow, dude, this is awesome.
It is. Yeah, a key question is what happens with 2, 3, or even 20 doses taken over several months, said Dr. Ahmed. Investigators are curious about how repeated doses might affect flexibility in the long run. Such questions may guide the next phase of research. They might also help clarify whether more doses lead to better outcomes or if there is a tipping point. Yet, not all psychedelics work the same way. Comparing substances with varying strengths and modes of action is essential to pinpoint which ones offer the most stable improvement in learning. Implications for mental health. Many people who deal with mood disorders struggle to cope with shifting demands. A boost in flexible thinking could help them adapt more quickly to life's uncertainties. Therapies that strengthen neuroplasticity show promise for conditions such as depression and PTSD. Psychedelics might become another avenue to support these changes, though more data from human studies are needed. Some studies suggest that psilocybin, a well-known psychedelic, has produced lasting improvements in mental well-being. Researchers note this effect can persist for weeks, hinting at a mechanism that goes beyond a short-term shift in perspective. And the most striking aspect of our findings is that these cognitive benefits were measured 15 to 20 days after a single psychedelic administration, noted Elizabeth J. Bruns. Experts are also excited about the possibility of helping older adults and those with conditions tied to memory decline. PTSD in particular involves disrupted patterns of recall that can get stuck in negative loops. Breaking these loops might involve a shift in how the brain processes threats and rewards. Very cool stuff.
It is. It is the future on research on brain healing. Expanding knowledge about psychedelics might reshape how clinicians approach mental health. Some professionals predict that well-monitored psychedelic therapy could complement existing treatments. Scientists plan to test different compounds, doses, and schedules to see what works best. They also want to confirm if these changes in flexibility come from changes in the prefrontal cortex or from other parts of the brain. Since studies point to stable neuroplasticity shifts after just one dose, the timeline for integrating these treatments may be shorter than previously thought. At the same time, caution is key because not everybody responds to the same way to psychedelics. Again, I'm going to repeat that. Not everybody responds the same way to psychedelics. That's a key remembrance. Before new guidelines become mainstream, rigorous research is needed to cover safety and efficacy. Investigators remain optimistic that single-dose therapies could one day make a difference for a variety of people. Legal frameworks around psychedelics are evolving in the United States. These changes might eventually open paths for more clinical trials that evaluate safety and practicality. These findings offer a fresh perspective on how one-time inventions may guide the future of mental health care. More testing in clinical settings will reveal more which populations stand to benefit the most. The study is published in the Journal of Psychedelics, and there is a clicky link there.
Yeah, there you go. So another great article. Yeah, Bufo has brought some really great articles to us this week, hasn't he? So we're going to move right on over to the next article.
Researchers found that a majority reported both short-term and long-term changes related to sexuality and relationships, including heightened attraction to partners, increased openness, and altered experiences of gender identity. Wow, man, this is an awesome article.
Yeah, the researchers were motivated by growing interest in how psychedelics might influence social and relational processes beyond their emerging therapeutic applications for mental health. Past therapies suggested that psychedelics can deepen emotional bonds and reduce rigid self-concepts, which could open new ways of experiencing intimacy, attraction, and self-identity. Despite long-standing cultural anecdotes, scientific research on how psychedelics impact sexuality and gender remained limited. Psychedelic use is at an all-time high, and there is a boom in psychedelic research. Most of the investment is in clinical trials for therapeutic applications, and some of these are showing amazing results for treating conditions like depression and PTSD, said study author Daniel J. Kruger, a research scientist and research associate professor at the University of Buffalo, who is also affiliated with the University of Michigan. These are worthy pursuits, of course, though we think there is so much more to explore. There are so many areas that have not yet been covered. For example, Timothy Leary said that psychedelics were great for sex. He probably knew this would get people's attention. How prevalent is this really in people's experiences? There are many reports of psychedelics leading to new insights and greater connection with people. Could there be benefits for intimate relationships in the long term? What about benefits for people experiencing gender dysphoria, distress related to their gender? There were no previous studies in these areas.
To address this gap, the team conducted an anonymous online survey of adults who had used psychedelics. Participants were recruited through email lists, social media, and an in-person psychedelic advocacy event. They completed a detailed questionnaire that asked about their sexual attraction, experiences with intimate relationships, gender expression, and whether they noticed any changes during or after psychedelic experiences. Participants were also asked about the types of psychedelics they had used, their dosing practices, and their demographic backgrounds. The sample was diverse, participants ranging in age from 18 to 85. Most had taken psilocybin mushrooms, LSD, or MDMA, or a large majority reported full dose experiences rather than microdose. About half of the participants were women, and a smaller proportion identified as non-binary or transgender. Overall, about 70% of participants reported that psychedelics had impacted their sexuality or sexual experiences. Short-term effects during psychedelic experiences were slightly more common than long-term changes that lasted beyond the acute effects. Among those who reported change, most describe enhancements rather than diminishment. Participants were more than likely to say that psychedelics enhanced their attraction to current partner, improved the quality of their relationships, and deepened their sexual experience. Cool.
And however, there was no single effect that was reported by the majority of participants. So there is not a simple prediction that psychedelics will result in any one outcome, Kruger told SciPost. It depends on the person, their experiences, and their context. For example, there were many participants who said they had a much better relationship with their partner, better communication and understanding, etc. There were others who realized they were in a toxic relationship and ended a relationship they had been in, sometimes for over a decade. In terms of gender identity, about 1 in 10 participants said that psychedelics influenced how they viewed or expressed their gender. Qualitative responses revealed that many people described greater authenticity, self-acceptance, and openness. Some participants said that psychedelics helped them move beyond traditional gender categories, leading them to feel more fluid or to reject binary conceptions of masculinity and femininity altogether. Others report subtle shifts, such as feeling freer in their clothing choices or more comfortable exploring different aspects of themselves. Sexual attraction also appeared to shift for some people. About a quarter of women and 1/8 of men reported increased same-sex attraction after psychedelic use. Participants who identified with gender-diverse identities were even more likely to report changes in sexual attraction. These findings suggest that psychedelics may contribute to greater sexual fluidity in some users. And there is a small proportion of participants, but this sort of effect is remarkable. This is a small proportion of participants, but this sort of effect is remarkable, Kruger said. In the 1960s, there were attempts to use psychedelics to make homosexuals into heterosexuals. Homosexuality used to be considered a pathology in psychiatry. It is not clear how well this actually worked, and now it is considered unethical. Our research suggests that people are actually more likely to embrace their authentic self.
Yeah, so the study also found changes in relationship structures. After psychedelic experience, a higher proportion of participants reported being in committed relationships, being polyamorous, or dating multiple people. Fewer participants described themselves as single after their psychedelic use compared to before. These shifts suggested that psychedelics might play a role in how people form, maintain, and conceptualize romantic partnerships. Several factors influenced the likelihood of reporting changes. Younger participants were more likely to report shifts in gender expression and sexual experiences. Individuals with lower household incomes were slightly more likely to report changes in type of relationships, uh, and sexual attraction. Those who took a larger dose of psychedelics rather than microdosing were more likely to report both short term and long term effects. Gender diverse participants were especially likely to report changes in gender identity and expression. Although the life study suggests intriguing patterns, it is important to recognize its limitations. The survey was cross sectional and relied on self report, making it impossible to draw a firm conclusion about cause and effect. Participants were also recruited from psychedelic interest groups and events, which may have influenced the kinds of experiences reported. It is also possible that people who experienced positive outcomes were more likely to participate. The researchers cautioned that expectation affects the beliefs people hold about how psychedelics will affect them, may shape experiences such as the substances themselves. Past studies have shown that expectations can significantly influence the outcome of psychedelics experience. Additionally, the study did not control for variables such as the co-use or other substances, specific type of psychedelics used, or either participants had shared their psychedelic experiences with intimate partners. All of could shape outcomes. This was the first study of its kind. It was broad and it was exploratory, Krieger noted. Now that we have found something interesting, we are conducting further research to investigate more deeply. Our participants are people who have psychedelics for many different reasons. Most are undergoing psychedelic therapy, they are taking psychedelics on their own with friends, and so these may have been unanticipated benefits. Wow.
Right. Some people did report detrimental effects, but many more reported beneficial effects. People can also have challenging experiences with psychedelics. Even people who have taken psychedelics many, many times are known for it are known for it can have difficult trips. It is very important to prepare, go in with a healthy mindset, and have a supportive environment. Take it seriously. It's not like getting drunk at a party. People who set intentions for what they want to accomplish in their psychedelic experiences tend to have better outcomes. The study marks an initial step and that's what we call set and setting, right? Mm-hmm. Like you get your ideal setting and set, like you get the perfect surroundings, right? And that will help give the support that you might need if you need to, right? The study marks an initial step in exploring how psychedelics intersect with sexuality, gender, and intimate relationships. The research team has launched a new 2025 psychedelic community survey to gather more data and deepen understanding. Their long-term goal is to build a comprehensive picture of how psychedelics impact people's social and relational lives outside of formal therapeutic settings. We just launched our 2025 Psychedelic Community Survey, where we are collecting more data to help, to have a better understanding of what is happening, Kruger explained. This is just the first study of what we hope to be a thorough research program. We encourage anyone aged 18 and older who have experienced psychedelics to participate in the survey. There are other interesting topics in the survey as well. The survey is completely anonymous and confidential, and no personal identifying information will be collected, no IP addresses, etc. Please share the survey link with anyone you think might be interested in participating. We greatly appreciate the input. And the study perceived impact of psychedelics on sexual, gender, and intimate relationship dynamics, a mixed methods investigation, was authored by Daniel J. Kruger, Irene K. Argiri, Justin K. Mogilski, and Moss Herberholtz, Julie Barron, Jacob S. Ade, and Kevin F. Bonneke. And so I guess that's I don't know if that's the the survey link right there. So anyways, oh no, there it is there. There's the survey link. Clicky link right there. 2025 Psychedelic Community Survey. So very cool. Very cool stuff.
That is a cool article, and I like it because it draws the question, and this is where the studies and what things witness. So when people fill out their experiences and they take the data from that, like how feasible and truthful and concrete is that opposed to what is experienced in a lab or setting and whatnot. I know when I filled out that shit when I was younger, I wasn't honest about to myself, let alone to another motherfucker. So when I filled out that shit, I was like, oh yeah, I took this, I took that. Oh yeah, I did heroin and never touched the shit. But I mean, I wanted to feel cool.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, cool story. So I guess we're gonna move on to our last story here for the show.
Yeah. Do we got time?
We're already at 59 minutes. I'll let you make the call.
Well, it's a short story.
Okay, we'll do it. Then.
So the last story is bbrfoundation.org, and it's a Brain and Behavior Research Foundation, and it says modifying LSD to minimize hallucinogenic properties results in a potential new drug candidate for schizophrenia. And this is written by William Carlson, PhD, Connor Liston, Alex S. Nord, PhD, and I believe that's all. But you want to start us out?
Yeah, some psychedelic compounds have been shown to be powerful promoters of growth in atrophied cortical neurons, a fact that has intrigued researchers interested in addressing one of the hallmark pathologies associated with schizophrenia. Analysis of post-mortem brains of people who suffered from the illness who have revealed decreased branching of the dendrites that bring signals from other neurons into nerve cells in the cortex, reduced density of the tiny bump-like protrusions along dendrites that are the points of contact for axons projected by neighboring neurons, and abnormally low levels of the proteins that form synapses in cortical tissue. All are manifestations of cortical atrophy. For various reasons, the pharmacological properties of psychedelics, their hallucinogenic properties make these drugs particularly inappropriate for people with schizophrenia and psychosis. But the power of some of these same substances to promote neuronal growth in the face of cortical atrophy has inspired some researchers to search for ways to modify psychedelics so as to retain their potential therapeutic properties and reduce or eliminate their hallucinogenic ones. In a paper newly published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, PNAS, a team led by David E. Olson, PhD at the Institute for Psychedelics and Neurotherapeutics at the University of California, Davis, reports that they have modified the LSD molecule to create a drug dubbed JRT. The new drug proved in a range of experiments to be an exceptionally potent analog of LSD, yet with much lower hallucinogenic potential and improved selectivity. The new drug appears to have the ability to produce a wide range of therapeutic effects, a powerful promoter of growth among cortical neurons. JRT also had strong antidepressant properties in animal tests and showed potential to address the negative and cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia.
The team included 3 BBRF grantees, which is William Carlson Jr., PhD, 2007 and 2005 BBRF independent investigator, and a 1999 young investigator, Connor Lisson, MD, PhD, 2013 BBRF young investigator, and Alex S. Nord, PhD, a 2015 BBRF young investigator. The new paper's co-first authors were Dr. Jeremy Artok and Lee E. Dunlap. Schizophrenia's negative and cognitive symptoms are affected by both first and second generation antipsychotic medicines. The newly approved schizophrenia drug Cobenfy has shown some effectiveness in reducing both negative and cognitive symptoms, although these properties are still under study. Antiseptic drugs block the D2 dopamine receptor in nerve cells, are often highly effective in reducing the post-symptoms of the illness, including hallucinations and delusions, thought and reality distorting symptoms. Like these are among the principal effects of hallucinogens like LSD, making them especially dangerous for those with schizophrenia, psychosis, or a family history of either. In theory, modifying a hallucinogen like LSD to non-hallucinogenic could result in a compound that retains the molecule's growth, spurring possibility pro-cognitive effects. Such a compound might be an attractive candidate to address the negative symptoms of schizophrenia, which include flat affect, reduced emotional expression, and social withdrawal, and a difficulty with motivation. Cognitive symptoms include difficulty paying attention, impaired memory, impaired working memory, slowed response time, difficulty handling verbal information, and difficulty switching between tasks. Wow.
Yeah, and Dr. Olson's team performed an astonishingly simple modification of the LSD molecule. They swapped the positions of 2 atoms in LSD to create JRT. Like LSD, the new drug specifically spurs activity at the serotonin 2A receptor, but the structural modification that generated JRT also reduced its potential to generate hallucinations, as both test tube-based and mouse-based experiments indicated. Dr. Olson commented, "What I think is so interesting about this work is that JRT and LSD have essentially the same molecular shape and weight, yet they have distinct pharmacology thanks to a transposition of these 2 atoms. The pharmacology of the various existing approved schizophrenia medicines is complex, but it appeared in the experiments involving JRT that it would not have side effects associated with existing medicines such as weight gain or sedation. JRT proved to be a partial agonist or simulator of the serotonin 2A receptor, possibly explaining its ability on the one hand to promote cortical neuron growth, but on the other hand, failing to cause behaviors in mice that indicate hallucinogenic impact. These include head twitching behavior, hyperlocomotion, deficits in pre-pulse inhibition, a measure of the brain's activity to filter out irrelevant sensory information. Despite its lower hallucinogenic potential, JRT in head-to-head comparisons with LSD and the antipsychotic clozapine demonstrated superior effects on cortical neuron growth and, moreover, produced a remarkable 46% increase in dendritic spine density in living mice. Other experiments showed it completely rescued cortical atrophy in a particular layer of neurons in the mouse's brain. Wow.
Yeah, these changes in structural plasticity were accompanied by robust antidepressant properties and pro-cognitive effects. In tests included measuring active coping strategies in response to an unavoidable stressor. In a test of chronic stress, the drug reversed anhedonia-like behaviors, inability to seek pleasure. JRT also promoted cognitive flexibility in mice performing the reversal learning test, a test in which a individual learns to abandon a previously learned behavior and adopt a new one. This team said JRT was an agent can potentially address negative and cognitive symptoms associated with schizophrenia without exacerbating positive symptoms or producing side effects characteristic of current treatments. Much more testing needs to be done in animals before human tests would even be contemplated. More broadly, the researchers believe the experiments highlight the potential of chemical structures of some psychedelics to produce an analog of which improve efficacy and safety profiles, as in this case, they appeared to have discovered a non-hallucinogenic stimulator, a cortical acidity, and a growth potential to treat illness that can be addressed by the psychedelics, including schizophrenia, psychosis, bipolar disease, and disorder. Dr. Olson is a co-founder and the head of the scientific advisory board of Delix Therapeutics, which was a funder, along with the NIH and other organizations of the current research. Some other team members have also a relationship with Delix and are holders of the patent rights for JRT. Wow, dude, I don't know what to think of it because, I agree studies need to be done, but I mean, how invasive and realistic is a mouse compared to a schizophrenic human being? First, you got to give the mouse schizophrenia.
I know. I've got mixed opinions on all of this. Like even the fact that this is like they're modifying it so it's not its true thing there, and they're playing around still and
right. But it's like if the science world approves this over a human and it fucks shit up and the results, I mean, I don't know, man. It's something's got to be given on this because like you cannot compare a human study to a mouse study with something.
No, you can't.
I don't want to really say as dangerous as psychedelic, but as real and I guess diverse on each dose as psychedelic.
right? Right. So I know, and you're dealing with people who may not fully understand the whole thing, but it might help them. So like, where do you go? Where do you go? I don't know. I got mixed opinions in it all. I think studies are important, but as you say, there's a big difference between a mouse study and a human study.
Well, the fact they're just studying it, so they're going to look at this study. They're going to look at the human studies that the other, programs are looking at with LSD and psychedelics. So, I mean, all this is going to be accumulated in the whole catalog of research, which, is movement forward.
Right. So, anyways, those were some great stories that Bufo chose to us for today, right?
No, that was a great day today, and thank you for joining us, Ron McNabb, and thank you for joining us here, the viewer, on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network, for tuning in to our video podcast, NOK Network's Rumble and YouTube pages, as well as our social media sites.
And thank you for having me on the show, Hobbies, and we had Mel earlier, and now we got Todd. It's always a pleasure working with you guys on the show here, and I'm happy that I was able to fill in for Tara. Hope she's feeling better soon. And now we flip over to you guys. We hope you all enjoyed your update. Our very wonderful viewers here on. Okay, I fucked that line up really bad. Okay, this one is to our viewers now. We hope you enjoyed your update on mainstream media coverage on psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe. Maybe I need to get into some mushrooms. That might help.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint host, Tara, who's not here, Ron McNabb, who's filling in for her, and to all Bufo Alvarius for choosing the stories, and to you, our listeners, for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesday. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland Lake on our way out.
Great. All right. Good night, folks. Take care.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of